I remember the exact moment I stopped waiting for things to get better. It was Christmas Eve 3 years ago. Emma was 6. She'd spent the entire car ride to Patricia's house with her face pressed against the window, watching the snow, quietly listing everything she was excited about. The cookies, the tree, seeing Grandma Patricia. She'd made Patricia a card that week, spent 2 afternoons on it, cutting snowflakes out of folded paper, gluing them down one by one, writing inside in her careful first-grade print, "You are my favorite grandma. I love you to the moon." She carried it in her lap the whole drive, wouldn't let me put it in a bag. "I don't want it to get bent," she said. Patricia opened it at the door, said, "Oh, how sweet," set it on the counter next to the mail, and walked back to the kitchen to check on the roast. I watched Emma watch her do it. I saw the small shift in her face, not dramatic, not tears, just something quiet closing, like a window being latched from the inside. She folded her hands in her lap, looked down at her shoes for a moment, and said nothing. That was the first Christmas. I told myself it was a one-time thing. Patricia was busy. There were a lot of people. She probably meant to come back to the card later. I told myself this for the entire drive home while Emma fell asleep in her car seat, still wearing her Christmas dress, one shoe half off. I told myself it again at Easter, when Patricia hugged each of her grandchildren at the door and patted Emma on the head without really looking at her. And at Emma's cousin Jake's birthday party in June, where Patricia spent 20 minutes helping Jake open his presents and said to Emma, when Emma held up a drawing she'd done of the family for show and tell, "That's lovely, sweetie," and turned back to Jake. I was paying attention. I just wasn't ready to name what I was seeing yet. The second Christmas, Patricia handed out envelopes after dinner. She made a little event of it, called each grandchild up one by one to the armchair by the tree, said something personal to each one, handed over the envelope. Emma's cousins got $200 each. Jake, who was 8, got $200 and a long speech about how proud Patricia was of his soccer season. Olivia, who was 11, got $200 and a hug that lasted a full minute. Even baby Connor, who was 3 and had no real concept of money, got $200 in an envelope with his name written in gold marker. Emma got a gift card to a craft store, $15. Patricia handed it to her with a warm smile in both hands, like she'd put real thought into it. "I thought you'd like this, sweetheart. You're so creative. More creative than the others, I think. This is for you specifically." Emma looked at the card, looked at her cousins holding their envelopes, looked at Connor, who had already lost interest and was trying to eat the gold wrapping paper. Then she looked up at Patricia and said, "Thank you, Grandma." Then she got up quietly and started helping clear the dessert plates from the table. She was 7 years old. I sat at that table and did not say a single word. My husband Marcus was talking to his brother Derek across the table, laughing about something from high school. He either didn't see what had just happened or decided he hadn't. I've thought about that distinction a lot in the years since. I still don't know which one is harder to forgive. That night, after Emma was asleep, I sat in the kitchen with a cup of tea that went cold, and I thought about saying something to Marcus. I rehearsed it 3 different ways. I had the whole conversation mapped out. I knew exactly how it would go. He would say, "That's just how Mom is." He would say, "She doesn't mean anything by it." He would say, "Emma didn't even notice." And then, somehow, by the end of the conversation, I would be the one who had taken a nice Christmas and made it into a problem. I would be the difficult one. The one who couldn't just let things go. So I didn't say anything. I just started paying attention more carefully. I started keeping a note on my phone, nothing dramatic, just a running record. December 24th. Gift card, $15. Cousins got $200 each. March 15th, Patricia's house for Sunday dinner. She asked each grandchild about school, skipped Emma, moved on to dessert. April 20th, Easter, Family egg hunt in Patricia's backyard. She helped the younger cousins find the hidden eggs. Walked past Emma twice without offering to help. Emma found 2 eggs. Cousins found 11 and 12. June 3rd, Jake's end-of-year school concert. Patricia attended, front row. October 9th, Emma's school art show. Patricia said she was busy, sent a card that arrived 4 days late. I wasn't planning anything when I started the list. I didn't have some strategy in mind. I just needed somewhere to put what I was seeing, because if I kept carrying it with nowhere to put it, I was going to say something at the wrong moment in the wrong way, and it would become about me instead of about Emma. I kept the note for a year and a half. 41 entries. The third Christmas, I was ready for the envelopes. Emma got a $15 gift card again. Different store. A bookshop this time. Same amount. Patricia smiled the same warm, considered smile, like she'd spent real time thinking about what Emma specifically would love. This time, Emma didn't look at her cousins. She looked at the card for exactly 1 second, said thank you, and put it in her coat pocket. Then she went to sit with Connor on the floor and help him with his new Lego set, because Connor had asked and nobody else had offered. She was 8 years old, and she had already learned. That was the moment I stopped keeping the list and started thinking differently, because the list had been about what Patricia was doing. But watching Emma pocket that gift card without flinching, watching her absorb it, file it away, adjust, I understood that the damage wasn't just in what Patricia did. It was in what Emma was becoming in response. She was learning to expect less. She was learning to take up less space in rooms where certain people were present. She was learning that some love comes with invisible conditions and fine print, and that the correct and dignified response is to say thank you and go help with the dishes. I didn't want her to learn that. I didn't want that to be the lesson she carried into her adult life about what she deserved. I closed the note on my phone that night, and I stopped adding to it. I knew what I'd seen. Patricia's 70th birthday was in March. The family had been organizing it for 2 months. A lake house up north, 3 days, 20 people, everyone chipping in $300 each. Marcus had been excited about it, the way he gets excited about things that feel like the family is doing well. Like everyone showing up together was proof of something. He came home one Tuesday evening with that specific energy he gets when he wants to present something as already decided and just needs a signature. So, the lake house trip for Mom's birthday. I already told Derek we're in. The 14th. Is that okay? I looked at him across the kitchen. We have plans that weekend, I said. He stopped. What plans? You didn't mention anything. Emma has something. What something? I'm still working out the details. He looked at me for a long moment. I could see him trying to decide whether this was worth pushing on. He decided it wasn't. Okay, I'll tell Derek you can't make it. You should still go, I said. It's your mom's birthday. He went. He was gone for 3 days. Emma and I left the next morning. I'd booked the water park 2 weeks earlier. The big indoor one 3 hours away. The one Emma had seen in a commercial 8 months ago and said, "That looks so fun," exactly once and then never brought up again because she's learned not to repeat things she wants. I booked 2 nights in the hotel next door. I packed her favorite snacks and her swimsuit and her waterproof sandals that she'd grown out of and had to replace with new ones I bought without telling her. I didn't tell her where we were going until we were in the car. She was in her pajamas when I said we were leaving in 10 minutes. Pack a bag. She looked at me like I'd said something in another language. Now? Where? You'll see. She was quiet for the first hour of the drive, watching out the window the same way she had on that first Christmas drive to Patricia's house, except different. Less careful, more open. When the water park sign started appearing on the highway, she sat up slowly, and I watched her in the rear view mirror, and I saw her face do something I hadn't seen it do in a long time. "Is that where we're going?" she said. "Yep." She was quiet for another minute. "Just us?" Just us. She went down the same slide 11 times. I know because I counted, because I was standing at the bottom every single time watching her come through. By the third time, she had stopped looking nervous at the top. By the fifth time, she had stopped waiting for me to go first. By the seventh time, she was going down backwards, arms crossed over her chest, eyes closed, grinning before she even hit the water. By the 11th time, she came up out of the splash pool, laughing so hard she couldn't catch her breath. Just standing there in the shallow end, arms straight out, head back, completely soaked, water streaming down her face, laughing at nothing and everything and the pure fact of being there. I took one photo, just one, at the very end of the day, when we were heading back to the hotel, Emma still in her wet swimsuit with a towel around her shoulders, arms straight up over her head, grinning like she'd won something that actually mattered. I posted it that evening from the hotel room while Emma was in the shower singing to herself, something she never did at home. Patricia called 22 minutes later. "We missed you today," she said. "Everyone kept asking where you were." "I'm sorry we couldn't make it," I said. "Emma had the best day of her life." There was a pause on the line. "Well, she looks very happy in the photo." "She is," I said. Another pause. I waited. "We should plan something soon. All of us together, with the cousins. Emma would love that." "Sure," I said. "That would be nice." We haven't been invited to a family dinner in 4 months. I don't know exactly what shifted. Maybe Patricia felt something she couldn't name. Maybe Marcus said something to Derek after the trip. Maybe it was the photo. One image of Emma with her arms up, glowing on a day that had nothing to do with Patricia, or her house, or her envelopes, or her careful, considered smiles. Maybe the absence just settled in, and nobody knew how to undo it. Maybe they were never really holding on that hard to begin with. Emma hasn't asked about Grandma Patricia. She's noticed the way kids notice things they've learned not to ask about. Quietly, sideways, without making it a thing. She just knows our weekends have been different, fuller. We've been to 2 museums, a state park, a pottery class Emma found on YouTube and asked about so carefully, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to want it. I signed her up the same day. She came home from the first session with clay under her fingernails and talked for 40 minutes straight. She has a membership to the nature center near our house now. She goes every Saturday morning with her notebook, a green one she picked herself, and she comes back with pages full of careful observations. Birds she identified, insects she described, the measurements of a spiderweb she found on the East Trail, and once a fox, which she drew from memory when she got home in colored pencil and taped to the wall above her desk. She stopped making herself smaller in rooms. She doesn't fold her hands in her lap anymore when she's uncertain. She doesn't look at her shoes. Last week she came home from school and told me, almost as an aside, that her teacher had asked the class a question and she knew the answer and she put her hand up. "I just felt like saying it," she told me, like she was reporting something mildly surprising about herself. "I'm glad you said it," I told her. She shrugged. It felt good. I didn't make a big thing of it. I asked what the question was, and she told me, and we moved on to dinner. But after she went to bed that night, I sat in the kitchen for a while, and I thought about a 7-year-old girl putting a $15 gift card in her coat pocket without making a face, and getting up from the table and quietly helping clear the dishes. And I thought, she doesn't have to do that anymore. She doesn't have to earn her place in a room. She doesn't have to make herself easier to overlook. She doesn't have to learn the art of absorbing small humiliations with grace and silence. She gets to put her hand up when she knows the answer. She gets to go down the slide 11 times. That's enough. That's everything.